morning I have been working on finishing off all the things that I've been working on for quite a while now, particularly the grey coat and then another top that I cut out. It seems that at the minute I'm working in the theme of grey. I think that's because I can't be able to keep changing the thread, so let me just cut out more things that are of the same shade. But it's fine, it seems to be working out. Yesterday I went out and I got some lining for another tutu that I'm going to make, which I've already cut out all the tulle and everything and sewn that. So I cut out the lining, just need to get that together and that will be done. Like I said, finishing off a top, a grey top that I made, which I'm going to show you that in a second. And then that grey coat that I've been working on since the beginning of this year is finally well on its way to being finished. Just a ton of hand stitching to do, which I will get to. I really want to get them finished quite soon so I can move on. So this is the top that I've been working on. It's a Butterix pattern. I can see it in the distance, it's staring at me. It's that one there, if you can see it. Unfortunately, the number is not visible, but that's it. That's the pattern that I used. So with this pattern, there is an option to do it with a sleeve, without a sleeve, and with almost a cap type thing. I'm not too sure. It's basically like a thin piece of fabric that looks like a sleeve, but it doesn't actually cover your shoulder. And it doesn't quite quantify as being a cap sleeve, which is what this t-shirt is, but this t-shirt I think is only like that because it's probably slightly too small for me. Bought, not made. And I've made tops like this before and I really like them because it's really quite flattering. Where the tucks are, it just shapes your body quite nicely. Now that I've tried this on, I don't know either, maybe I've got slightly smaller or I'm not too sure, but it doesn't fit quite like how the others did. So I don't know if actually the other ones that I did were too small. So they fit it a bit tighter and now they've sort of stretched to fit my actual person. But whatever. The point of me telling you the story is I ran out, I didn't have enough fabric to do sleeves for this top and I knew I was never going to have enough fabric. And I didn't have enough fabric to do the little sticky out option that is on the pattern, which is the orange one. So what I did is I freestyled the armholes, and as I was doing it, because it actually turned out better than I thought it was going to do, I was like, I really should have just got this on camera, but I didn't. So now I'm going to have to explain it retrospectively. What I did to the sleeves is I bound them, but what is interesting about this is that this is kind of a structured fabric and it's got a small amount of stretch in it. It's, I think it's a polyester. It's fabric that I got in a random sample sale, so it's a bit strange. So it's triacetate polyester, 48% triacetate, 52% polyester. So it's like yeah, completely artificial basically. It didn't make me about it, but it's got a bit of structure in it with the triacetate, and then obviously the polyester is just regular polyester. At first I cut out some bias strips. I cut out several to get different sizes that's actually going to go all the way around the armhole without measuring the armhole. The reason why I didn't measure the armhole first is because there's been times when I have actually measured the armhole and I've ended up cutting the bias strips wrong. So I thought, let me just cut loads of strips, and as soon as I cut one that is long enough to go all the way around with some hangover, then I know I'm onto a winner. So I cut the bias strips and I think I've got some spare in my bin. So let's just assume that this strip is going to be long enough. I then put the bias strips together like this, so one end to one end, and then did a 1.5 centimeter seam down here, and then I pinned it. So if I put a pin in here rather than, so let's pretend like this is now sewn. So that's it, so that's how my bias strip looked. So this end was stitched, which is not going to come into focus unfortunately, but this end was stitched, and then this end obviously just became a loop. So then what I did was the end that would then be the shallower end, so literally how you're looking at it once you've stitched it, when you open it up you can see that the stitch will go short at one end and then it'll be a bit longer at the other. So this shorter end was the side that I then pinned to the outside of the armhole, so then all this extra hangover bit was on that side, and that was really important because when you fold it in, the inside of the armhole is going to be bigger than the outside. I'm not entirely sure why, I'm sure there's some sort of science behind it, but I didn't think about it in that much detail when I was doing it. So I then pinned this around, all the way around to the outside, pinned it all the way around. So I will just put some pins in just as an example. So I pinned it just like that. So it's all pinned, and then what I did is that I then basted it down because I wanted to just make sure that it definitely fitted and that I wouldn't need to re-stitch this centimetre seam here. And then it turned out that I did need to re-stitch it because, like I said, I just cut off strips that were long enough for it to go all the way around. I didn't measure it first, I just cut it and just did it by chance. So then once I'd adjusted it so that it fit comfortably, completely round with no trying to tuck it in anywhere else, I then pinned it and then basted it down properly and then took all the pins out. So then once I took the pins out, it then looked like this, but with basting. So then I folded down this fabric. At first I just folded it over straight like that. And then as I was pinning it round, I realised that it was really easy to then actually fold the fabric itself over again. So then I did, and I just made sure that the leftover edges were tucked inside to then create this binding. And like I said, it actually worked out better than I thought. So in hindsight, which is obviously a great thing, I definitely would have filmed it on camera, but I didn't know it was going to turn out first time like that. There could be instructions in the pattern for how to do that, because I'm pretty sure one of the options is to have the sleeve bound and not, well sleeveless, but with a bound edge. But I didn't use the pattern for it, so I actually don't know if it is in there, but it probably is, to be fair. But yeah, so I didn't know that I was going to be able to do this by myself, and I did, so yay me. But I think I'm probably going to try it again. I'm probably going to make this exact same top again, and I'll do this same technique, and then hopefully that time I will get it on camera. And then the last thing I want to catch you guys up on is this grey coat. So I have loved this coat, then I've not liked this coat, and then I've loved it again. And I think now I'm just at a point of where I'm just okay with it. It looks like a coat, it functions like a coat. I just need to finish it and then it's done. I think the thing that kept me a bit iffy about it is that I didn't follow the pattern precisely. So in my mind, I'm a bit like, I don't know if this was the right way to make this coat, but sometimes you just can't get too caught up in whether it's the right way or the wrong way. If you've got to the end and you've made a coat and it doesn't fall apart, then you did something right. And I think in my mind I just have to look at it that way. The most fun part of this was making the belt. So this was the bit that was missing, I think, the last time we spoke. So this is all done. I just need to hand stitch the opening back together so it's fully closed. I haven't done belt loops on this because I'm not really a fan of belt loops, so the belt's just going to be a bit loose and float around, and I might become less of a fan of that, but I don't mind. I just don't really like belt loops. And then the cuff. So I've definitely done the cuff different to how it is on the pattern, because where this cuff sits is a lot lower, I think, than what's on the pattern from memory. But again, I'm not too upset about that. I think it's quite nice. At first, it was only going to be quite a shallow cuff, and then I thought to myself, no, I'll just do it, keep it how it is and make it a bit deeper, but still making sure that the raw edges of the overlocked stitches are tucked away inside. So I just need to hand stitch this. I think this coat might take me again maybe to the end of this month to do, but I definitely just want to get it done now. The other thing that I have been working on is this jacquard circle skirt, which is an amalgamation of different patterns. I need to hem it because it's all been cut at slightly different lengths. As you can see here, I didn't cut the lining as smoothly as I wanted, and I think because the jacquard skirt is from a slightly different pattern to what the lining's from, then the circles are slightly different. So that's my own bad there, but I just need to hem it and get it done. But I think that's going to be a bit of a tricky one to hem because it's a circle and you want it to not be too uneven. And then last but not least, it's another tutu, so that's all my tulle there. That's the lining that I cut out. That's the top I was just speaking to you guys about. That's going to be the waistband. I retrospectively thought to myself that maybe I could do quite a nice trim on the waistband, so I've actually cut the waistband, and I should have sewn this into it at the same time, but I think I might find a way around that, something a little bit creative, but we'll see. I might just do a lining waistband, but I just don't think it's going to be quite the same finish. I think it will look better. It will definitely look better like that. So I'm going to have to figure it out. Maybe it means recutting the waistband, I'm not too sure. That's my pile of gold that I need to start working on, which I'm really excited about. Behind that is just a pile of other fabric that I want to be working on, that I've had on my mind to be working on for a little while. Last but not least, this. So this was a jacket and skirt that I made. I drafted the jacket pattern myself, and the skirt was from, I think, that vintage Butterick skirt pattern that you guys have seen. I have pinned the front down because I'm going to turn this into a dress, and it's just on here to give me some ideas of how I'm going to do it. I'm definitely going to shorten the sleeves because I think it looks a bit better. It's, even me staring at this pattern, it gives me a little bit of like a headache, like my eyes can't focus on what's going on because it's the same print over and over and over. So I think this is going to be a very print heavy garment. I've made it in a top and trousers as separates, but I think because there's a break in the middle on the top and the trousers, it's a lot easier to handle, whereas this is going to be head to toe all of the same print, and I'm not sure it's going to have the same effect. Even now when I'm looking at it on camera, it's really making my eyes hurt, but then when I look at it in real life right now, I'm fine. But if I look at it for too long, then yeah. But this is where it's going. So the sleeves are going to be shortened. I'm probably going to do a high neck neckline because I seem to be obsessed with those at the minute, and I do them almost on everything. So the sleeves are actually a raglan sleeve, so that'll be quite a nice little move on. A point of difference from all the other dresses that I've made, so I'm definitely going to keep this feature in. I need to redo the tucks because, like I said, this was going to be a jacket and now it's going to be a dress, so it's definitely going to need to fit slightly differently. Redo the tucks at the front, and also I need to decide whether or not I'm going to shorten the bodice to sit more like that with the high waist skirt, or lower the skirt so that it's not a high waist skirt and just keep the bodice longer. The thing that I think I'm going to need to make a decision on that is how my actual personal body sits. Some people are quite long in the torso, whereas I think I'm actually quite short, so depending on how, it's going to depend on where my waist sits and whether or not I want the top to look longer and the skirt to look shorter. But in my mind, I think if I make the top longer, I'm going to need to shorten the actual length of the dress just to keep the proportion. But like I said, we'll see. I've still got time. So that's it. That's all my works in progress. Not a heavily sewing filled video this week. Sometimes it's good just to talk about the things that you're doing and what's going on, because you can get feedback from different people to say, I tried this one time, etc, etc. But that's the end of this video. Like I said, no real sewing this week, just talking about the things that I'm working on, which I hope you guys appreciated. And if you do have any tips on anything, then please, as always, leave it in the comments below. I love getting your guys' feedbacks, and even the feedback that everyone's leaving on the other videos about where I can get free patterns from and different techniques that I can use. It's always super helpful. Even if I don't use it straight away, I'm definitely something that sits in my mind that I think, ah yes, let's do that when something else comes on. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please continue to like, share and subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.